Flirt FM, Galway's alternative radio station.
You're listening to the Galway Gamer here on Flirt FM 101.3. My name is Owen Murphy and I am the Galway Gamer. And joining me on the show today is quite an interesting character because we don't often have musicians on the show, but this particular musician takes it in a completely different direction by using a completely different format. I'm talking about Remute, who has released records on floppy disk, on Super Nintendo carts, and on Mega Drive cartridges. Remute, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the Galway Gamer today.
Right, thank you. Hello. Hi.
It's great to have you here. It's an unusual thing that you do. It's kind of caught me off guard, and I thought I must get in touch and have a chat about this. What possessed you to begin releasing records on video game cartridges?
Well, I'm a quite heavy video gamer my whole life, and I've grown up with video games from the 16-bit era mostly, and I always wanted to make music that sounds like old game soundtracks, and this is the reason why I had to put it out on an authentic format like cartridge. I wanted to mix the gaming world with the music world.
Excellent. And doing so then, you create the music through the architecture of the consoles themselves. How does this work then when you start gigging live? What kind of equipment would you use?
Well, when I work on the music for these game consoles, I have to deal with a lot of limitations. Like, for example, the Super Nintendo has only 64 kilobytes of audio RAM. So actually everything in a song has to fit into 64 kilobytes. That's quite a task, but it really helps to push the creativity to focus on just the essence of a song. You just have to concentrate on some very important things, and I think that really helped me with songwriting, and so dealing with limitations was actually quite fun. But when I play live, I also use the game consoles. For example, I can use the Mega Drive as a pretty cool FM synthesizer, and I do it actually on my upcoming gigs. Looking there forward.
Do you just run the Mega Drive down through a PA, or which way does that work?
The Mega Drive can be triggered via MIDI. It has a MIDI cartridge. It's called GAN MDM, I think. Yeah. You actually pop this cartridge in, and it adds a kind of MIDI input to the Mega Drive, and then you can play the FM synthesizer, which is built into the sound chip of the Mega Drive, and sounds pretty cool on great PAs, and love it.
That sounds great. That sounds really, really interesting. It sounds like it would make for a very unique concert.
Yeah, doing my best.
Well, I came across your material because a mate of mine bought me your latest album, Cut of Remute, on the Super Nintendo cart. And he knows that I collect kind of bizarre pieces of gaming paraphernalia. He thought it would be right down my alley. He was correct, by the way. It's a great record. But
thank you.
Are there many guys like me? Like, how large is the market for cart-based records?
I think it's pretty large. I won't disclose any numbers here, but I'm happy.
Okay, cool. And are they released in other formats as well? I know that you can be found on Spotify, but can you also pick up your stuff on CD or record?
Well, you can, of course, listen to it on Spotify, or you can buy it on iTunes, but I think it's way more adventurous to pop the cartridge in your console. But, of course, I make it available for everyone, and if you think Spotify is good for you, then, okay, listen to it on Spotify. I won't forbid it.
That's fair.
But, of course, I'm putting my music also out on vinyl records. For example, the first single from the album, it's called Hallo haben Sie Gin. It's just out right now on a 7-inch record with a slightly enhanced mix on a limited red vinyl record. And of course, I'm keeping up with vinyl records still, and also releasing my music on classic music formats.
Excellent, fantastic. And You mentioned that you got into this due to your love of the 16-bit era. What games would have been a major influence on you growing up?
Well, I have to say that I always liked Mega Drive games most because they felt a little bit more. I love the blast processing. It feels more arcade-like. I really like arcade games. I really like beat 'em ups, for example, like Streets of Rage 2, or some shoot 'em ups like Aleste or Thunder Force. This is the things I like, but particularly the music on the Super Nintendo was always my big favorite. I probably didn't like the games on the Super Nintendo so much, but I really liked the music because it had a kind of natural sound, but still pretty artificial, and that blowed my 80-year-old mind back then.
Cool. And we've seen you release, as I've mentioned already, via Mega Drive, your record, Techno hip. Right here.
Techno-optimistic. Right.
That's the very one. That's released on Mega Drive cartridge, limited on floppy disk. You have Cult of Remute on Super Nintendo Entertainment System. What could possibly be next?
Well, there are still many consoles, but I think the next one will be a kind of bonus release for Cult of Remute. It's already finished. And that's actually the first time I announce it in your show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it will come out sometime in August or September, sometime, and it will be for the Nintendo DS.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's fantastic.
It's kind of bonus release. It will be called the Cut of Remute Portable.
And how does it feel then working with the Nintendo DS, because that's a very, very different system?
That's very different, and the music will be quite different too, but let's wait a little bit. It will be a surprise.
And when it comes to the music itself then, do you find that is it overshadowed by the idea of selling card-based albums? For example, do people simply know you as the guy who sells the card-based record, or do they know you by your songs?
Well, I think it's a mixed bag, and I think, of course, it's very popular because it's actually the Cult of Remute is actually the first album on a Super Nintendo ever, and so a lot of magazines are writing about this because it's only the first Super Nintendo album. But I think still the fans who like my music are focusing on the music in the end, because in the end it's always the music that matters. And so I think, of course, it helps to be on a unusual format. It's generating some kind of surprising buzz, but in the end it's the music that matters.
Cool, fantastic. I'm absolutely glad to hear that. How can people keep up with your Remute, and how can they keep up with your upcoming records?
You can follow me on Twitter/Remute. On Instagram, you can search for Remute. You can, of course, go onto my Bandcamp page. It's remute.bandcamp.com. Or you can just pop my cartridge into your console and listen.
And if people are looking to pick up the cartridges, which is the best way for them to pick them up?
The cartridges are available via my Bandcamp shop, but I think they will be available into some other game shops in the next few weeks, like Stone Age Gamer, or I think also some Japanese shops bought it. But you can buy it on my Bandcamp page. Yeah.
Great. Remute, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the Galway Gamer here. This has been an incredibly insightful and interesting conversation.
Thank you very much too. Bye and greetings.
101.3 Flirt FM.